The morning started like any other. Calm, quiet, and almost too peaceful to be real. The sun had just begun to rise, painting the road in gold. The smell of bacon, coffee, and gasoline filled the small roadside diner at the edge of town. Engines hummed outside. Boots tapped against pavement, and laughter rolled through the air from a group of bikers everyone else tried to avoid. They were the Iron Souls, men with weathered faces, tattoos that told stories, and hearts most people never looked close enough to see. To strangers, they were danger on two wheels, but to each other they were family. Then, everything changed in one heartbeat. A sharp, panicked scream tore through the still morning air. Every head turned. Across the parking lot, a little girl in a torn red dress came running. Her boots slipped on the cold ground, her small hands waving wildly. Her light brown hair flew behind her like a flame, her face streaked with dirt and tears. "Please!" she screamed, voice trembling. "Please help my mama. They're hurting her." The laughter died. Engines went silent. For a second, nobody moved. Even the sound of the highway faded away. Then one man stood up. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his leather vest marked with the red skull of the Iron Souls. His name was Mason Reed, a man who'd seen the roughest sides of life and carried more scars inside than on his skin. He knelt in front of the girl, his rough hands gentle as he steadied her trembling fingers. "Hey, hey!" he said softly, his deep voice cracking through the tension. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Hannah," she sobbed. "They're hurting my mama. Over there." She pointed down the road, toward a cluster of rusted trailers half hidden by trees. Mason looked up, his jaw clenched. "Tank rider with me," he said, motioning to two of his brothers. The three bikers swung onto their Harleys. Engines thundered to life. Tires screamed against gravel as they took off, the morning air splitting with the roar of power and purpose. The diner fell silent again. Hannah stood by the window, wrapped in a leather jacket far too big for her, her tiny hands gripping the sleeve. The smell of coffee mixed with fear. Everyone watched the road, waiting. Minutes crawled by like hours. Then came the sounds, shouts, glass breaking, the roar of engines again. And then, silence. When the bikes returned, the sun was higher, and what they carried made the whole diner fall still. Mason stepped off his Harley, a small girl clinging to his side. Behind him walked a woman, bruised, shaking, her shirt torn at the shoulder. Her name was Carla. Her eyes told a story no one wanted to hear. The crowd outside the diner parted as they walked through. Truckers, travelers, locals, all silent. No one asked questions. They didn't have to. Carla reached for Hannah, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Baby," she whispered, holding her close. "You saved me. You really saved me." The police showed up minutes later, sirens echoing down the empty road. They found a man inside that trailer, drunk, furious, and already in cuffs by the time they arrived. Mason and his crew hadn't run. They just stood there, calm, waiting, the little girl still holding Mason's hand. When the officer asked what happened, Carla spoke through broken sobs. "He found me this morning," she said. "My ex. He was supposed to be in jail. I thought I was safe." Her words trembled, but the truth was clear. She wouldn't be alive if that child hadn't run, if those bikers hadn't answered. Back at the diner, the world seemed to slow down. The owner brought out blankets, coffee, and a warm smile that said more than words could. One by one, the bikers took off their leather vests and draped them over Carla and Hannah's shoulders. "You take care of your mama now, little angel," Mason said, his voice softening. Hannah nodded, her small fingers gripping his vest. "I will." That image, the hardened biker and the tiny girl in red, burned itself into everyone's mind. By noon, the story had already spread through town. By nightfall, it was all anyone could talk about. People who once crossed the street to avoid the Iron Souls now stopped to shake their hands. Truckers bought them coffee. Strangers thanked them for doing what others were too scared to do. When a reporter asked Mason why they stepped in, he just shrugged. "You don't walk away from a cry like that," he said. "Doesn't matter who you are. Some things are just human." Over the next few weeks, things began to change for Carla and Hannah. The town rallied around them, bringing food, clothes, even furniture. A retired woman offered them a small apartment above her bakery. Every Sunday, a few Iron Souls bikes could be seen parked outside her door. They'd bring groceries, fix broken things, or just sit for coffee and listen to Hannah's laughter echo through the tiny kitchen. Hannah always ran to Mason first. She'd hug him tight, calling him Mr. Mace. He'd just smile and ruffle her hair. "You keep that fire in you, kid. The world needs it." Months passed. The scars on Carla's face faded, but the memories never left. Still, life was softer now, brighter. The diner, once just a quiet roadside stop, became a little landmark of kindness. Travelers would point and say, "That's where it happened," where the bikers saved the mother and child. And Mason, the man everyone once feared, found himself becoming a local hero he never asked to be. One warm spring morning, Hannah came running out of the diner, holding something behind her back. Her cheeks were glowing, her red dress swaying in the wind. "I made this for you," she said proudly, handing Mason a folded paper. It was a drawing, a crayon picture of motorcycles lined in a row, a little girl in red, and a man kneeling down to help her. At the top, in messy handwriting, were the words, "My angels on wheels." Mason stared at it for a long moment. His tough expression softened. Then, without saying a word, he folded the paper carefully and slipped it into his vest pocket, the same one that carried the patch of the Iron Souls. "That's staying with me," he said quietly, "wherever I ride." Hannah smiled, her missing tooth showing, her eyes sparkling. And for the first time in a long time, Mason felt something he hadn't felt in years: peace. From that day, the Iron Souls were no longer just bikers in the eyes of the town. They were protectors, proof that even the roughest hearts could carry the purest kind of kindness. Because sometimes the people we fear the most are the ones willing to do what no one else will, to step into someone else's pain and turn it into safety. And it all started with one little girl in a red dress, who believed someone would listen. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Tales Binanya, because in a world full of noise, stories like this remind us that real heroes still exist. Sometimes on two wheels, and sometimes in the form of a scared little girl who refused to give up.